So, folks, one of the things we got to talk about is Tim Walz. Tim Walz announced that he was dropping out for re-election as governor of Minnesota as a result of this allegations of fraud at Somali-run daycares. And I did a huge segment about the conservative influencer who put together the allegations of Somali daycare fraud against the state of Minnesota. And we went through his video and meticulously picked it apart. And guess what? His evidence for the fraud was essentially that he showed up outside of different daycares during the daytime when they had children there, demanding to see the kids with a group of like 8 people, half of whom were wearing masks. And the daycares did what any good daycare would do. They refused to let those people in because they're strangers with cameras asking leading questions. But suffice it to say, these allegations are completely without merit and seem to be perpetuated by a guy who is working hand in glove with the GOP here in Minnesota, who is a gambling lobbyist, who also is on the record as saying that he thinks all Somali Muslims are demons and all Somalis are doing fraud. So he that's what he thinks about an entire ethnic group of people. Now, Tim Walz announced yesterday that he was dropping out of the race. He came forward to talk about his paid family leave program that got passed here in the state. So guess what? Today, families get paid leave to be parents to newborn kids. It's really, really cool. And is he a lobbyist for the Minnesota gaming tribes? No, actually. He's a lobbyist for private gambling and advocates thinks one of the biggest mistakes in the state, Werix, is that the state of Minnesota gave gambling rights to the reservations and the tribes. So his position is that the state of Minnesota should be the ones doing all of the gambling in the state, and indigenous groups should not have any of that power whatsoever. So he's scum then? Yes. I felt like that was pretty apparent when I said that he thinks all Somali Muslims are demons. But yes, moving on. Here we are, Tim Walz talking about the paid family leave program, and he gets a bit spicy here. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm here for the energy. I'm here for the final form of Tim Walz, who just does not give a fuck.
Level of service. And that's why we're intentionally supportive of the Paid Time Leave Act that passed.
Everyone, thank you for joining us here as again at the historic Coliseum in Longfellow. Janice, thank you, and to Alicia, congratulations. We're proud of this. It's a space, it's community space, it's incubator, it's all those things. It's appropriate that we would be here to celebrate paid family medical leave. A big thank you to Commissioner Barilek and his team. We've had, is it safe to say, hundreds of conversations over the past few years,
thousands plus,
about implementation, and I'm here to tell you, and I'll go slowly so you get time to get this down. Paid family leave.
No, Tim Walz resigned because he didn't, allegedly did not want the focus to be on daycare, and for him, his involvement in Minnesota politics to be the reason the Trump administration cuts off all, child care assistance, which is what the Trump administration did, by the way, to every state.
Was launched on time, under budget, and with full functionality, and with the outside verification, some of the strongest safeguards of program integrity, or the strongest in the country. To date, nearly 18,000 people have applied, 3,500 people have been approved. That means thousands of Minnesotans, whether it's to care for children, to take care of medical issues, to care for a loved one, are now not going to have to make heartbreaking choices between their financial stability and the well-being of their family. This program benefits workers, but as we're here, and you're going to hear in just a minute from Kevin, you're going to hear a little bit from Lillian, you'll hear folks talk about this, what it means for employers and the workforce. What we know is when folks have the security of paid family and medical leave, they're able to take care of their health, their family's health, they're able to bond with their children, but they're also able to see productivity increase. And what we see is loyalty and retention in companies that have paid family and medical leave is really, really high. There's a reason that big Fortune 500 companies all have the program. The problem has always been it's difficult for smaller employers, but it's not difficult in 13 states, Minnesota having the best of those programs amongst them. So I'm incredibly proud over a week of watching this happen. I think it needs to be stated. We're joined here. A special thank you to Reps Frazier and...
Oh, I guess... okay, sorry, update on Trump cutting off funding. Initially, it was reported that only Minnesota's funds were going to be cut off, and then it was reported that all funds were going to be cut off. And again, to kind of bolster that, here's an article from just 4 days ago. Trump administration freezes federal child care funds nationwide from Democracy Now! But as of like a couple hours ago, the health department has frozen funding to 10 states for childcare programs. So, you know, I don't think they even know what they intend to do whenever Donald Trump says anything.
Man, the authors of this in the House and the Senate, this is one of the most transformational pieces of legislation that Minnesota has passed in decades. An entire career would go by, a successful career, with not doing something like this. These two leaders made that happen, and for me and the people of Minnesota.
Oh no, ponderous nerve. Dave from the shitty conservative video that attacked Somali daycare centers was the gambling lobbyist, not Tim Walz.
We have Rep. Sensamira, and I think we're going to be joined by Senator Mohammed, who were instrumental in helping us get this done, helping build the coalition to make this happen. We're implementing the program. We built a modern system around it. It is secure. And we've got the support lines. Hundreds of meetings with the team that was there in outreach to employers of ways to make this happen. We have done countless checks on this, and a few weeks ago, as we started to soft launch this thing forward, we did the checks and balance, the go, no-goes, and I just have to tell you, I express my deep gratitude. You've got some of those folks here in the back of the room. An incredible amount of work doing this really important work against a backdrop of making sure that program integrity was of utmost importance, and so I'm incredibly grateful for that. This has helped families succeed. This provides security to Minnesotans. It makes us a destination state for both employers and employees, strengthens what we know needs to happen in community.
I do want to say this is a huge win. Like the fact that Tim Walz has like a razor thin ability to get legislation passed that is progressive and helps working class people, and he's been able to do it. Those are some huge wins, you know, for the working people of Minnesota primarily, but like, you know, a decent feather in his cap as he prepares to leave office here now.
And I just have to tell you, I'm incredibly proud of it. We've done a lot of work to make it happen, and it is all about, as you hear here, families, so that parents can bond with their children. It is stunning to me that there are about 3 countries in the world that don't have this. It is an absolute travesty that there are states in this country that don't have the capacity to pay family medical leave. So I would tell all of those states out there and all of those folks, look to Minnesota. We've got a team here. Don't hire them away from me, but we've got a team that's willing to help to build this out, to produce the results that we're seeing, and to move forward. With that, I'm going to let you hear from some of the folks who are actually implementing it, know what it means to them. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Brown to talk a little bit about...
So we're going to skip ahead here because obviously, I think many of you can grasp intuitively that families being able to take time off to care for sick or injured family members or newborns is just inherently a great thing. Like, it's a really no-brainer. It's inherently cruel to deny parents and family members the ability to do that when through no fault of their own, you know, people get hurt, people get sick, kids get born. And I think that this is a great program, but we're going to jump ahead because obviously Tim Walz took questions after this was done. And a lot of the questions had to do with him dropping out of the governor's race. Some people have been calling on him to resign over the fraud scandal. He's not resigning. my gut reaction to, oh, he's dropping out of the governor race is that, oh, he's going to be done in politics. Like this is the end for him. But I watched a bit of how he answered these questions, and it makes me think that perhaps once his governorship is over, perhaps we will not have seen the last of Tim Walz. Okay? Because he's got some fire and brimstone in him. And I kind of think that the Democratic Party needs this. We need people who are going to spit fire and lightning, And, he does it in a relatively kind way. But let's see him take questions.
Look, we'll put these things in. We've known this has been out there, and I think you heard Commissioner Verlick say that. Deed runs the unemployment insurance, too.
I mean, the 2028 field is going to be very crowded. It's highly likely that Kamala Harris is going to run again. Tim Walz might run against Kamala Harris. Like, Gavin Newsom's thrown his hat. We're going to have a very contentious primary season for the Democrats. And I think that potentially what he's doing here is setting himself apart. So we'll see.
We know that those programs are out there. I don't think that got reported, but there was an analysis done on the states across the country, unemployment insurance. I think Iowa and Minnesota were 1 and 2 and the most secure. So there's a lot of safeguards in place, and we'll continue to deliver that. And I said, I told you yesterday, and I'll continue to say it, I will be there to make sure. Tim O'Malley and our team over there on program.
Yeah, Dragonfly, I'm still not convinced that AOC is going to run in 2028. But I also don't not see it, We'll have to see what happens. I think she's going to try and unseat Schumer, but we'll see.
Integrity, BCA, we have more tools that will continue to do this. The buck stops with me on this, and that is absolutely true, but I want to be very clear on this too. If the buck stops with me on when there's problems, the buck stops with me on successes. Not a single Republican supported this. So every Minnesota...
Is that the Minnesota flag on the jacket? Yeah, that's the Minnesota flag. Isn't it cute? I like it.
From here on forward, whoever uses this program, there is no bit of thanks that would go to the Republican legislators who did all they could to stop this.
Here we go.
So I will take full responsibility. We have safeguards in place. We'll do that. But I think the report on this is, as you're hearing the stories here, I'll take some credit for that because we put this program in place. We got it done. We implemented it. We did the work for 2.5 years, and lots of things work. Your highways get plowed. I'll take credit for that, too. The Republicans voted against my budget bill that did the work with that. Our schools have the money to pay their teachers. I'll take credit for that, too. The issue here is focusing on this, and they have every right to do so. The positive story of this is parents with their children. The Republicans' goal is to have none of those programs. And I can guarantee you one way to ensure there's no fraud, just don't do the program. Just don't do the program. And then you will look like states who rank at the bottom in every single initiative. So we have a responsibility to continue to do better on this, but I'm going to take credit when we're ranked at the top on almost every single category because of these programs. So we all know what's at stake here. This team knows that, and we said it. They took that responsibility to do it, and I will encourage them and encourage our folks that are out there on program integrity, do everything possible. If you attempt to try and collect paid family and medical leave illegally, you will be prosecuted and you will be jailed. It's a...
Can I just say, I think his messaging on this is really good. Like, coming out and being like, hey, if you do fraud, you're going to be prosecuted and jailed, but also I'm going to take credit for what we do. And what we've done against Republican wishes is, we make sure your roads are plowed. We make sure your roads are salted and sanded so that, your cars aren't crashing everywhere, which was really important. For some context about today, it rained all night and then that rain froze today. So when he talks about the roads being plowed and like salted and sanded and stuff, that's actually really important. That's some life or death stuff that happens here in Minnesota. Like, our plowing system needs to be good, otherwise people die. And he takes credit for our school system, which is overall pretty good. And Republicans don't want kids to have free school lunches. Republicans don't want kids to have access to high quality education. Republicans don't want to spend money on transportation systems that require like life-saving upkeep. They will cut that life-saving upkeep and just let people die in order to save a couple bucks to give to their donors. Like, Tim Walz coming out here and saying this in a relatively no-nonsense way, I think hits,
Simple as that. So do I think people will try and do that? Certainly, I think people will try and do that. They're not going to get away with it, but they'll do that.
Commissioner, for the roughly 3,000 people who are already on leave, when do the payments start? Can they expect like this Friday, or is there a little bit of a lag?
I think within days is that right? 12th. Yeah, so the 12th, and we have members of the team there in the
On the
back.
12th would be the first one.
Yeah.
Commissioner, can you gave an update on Friday on the numbers through the first couple of days of the program. What have you done?
And likewise have had the benefit of.
Senator Mohammed, good to see you. Well, thank you all for being out here. Again, really proud of this program. It is a game changer for working families. It's one more piece of that building blocks to making Minnesota the best state in the country for to raise a family, and we're off and running. And I think it's pretty impressive to get this thing going. Of all the implementations we have to implement as the legislature writes it, but by the 12th, we're going to have people receiving their payments. With that, I'll take some questions.
Governor, did you make the decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democratic allies?
This is a decision that I make and make with my family, and certainly I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras. I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election to try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said he really didn't, and courts convicted 400 of them, and he pardoned them. No, he did that. He did that, and that's today. And it's clear that we also saw today he implemented 5 states are being punished with a freezing of federal funds illegally that were appropriated by Congress, our tax dollars. And I find it interesting that Minnesota, California, Illinois, and New York were taking that. The interesting thing is the biggest fraud trial in the country is taking place in Mississippi today with $100 million of welfare fraud. And, I don't believe Mississippi was on that list. So look, this is a concerted effort to try and destroy the president's opponents, to destroy the rule of law. And it became apparent to me that he was going to do that with me being there. And I just feel, along with my family, that it's the best decision for Minnesota. I feel very confident in that. I think it's going to be clear that Minnesotans agree with that.
Governor, can you talk about more?
Can you break down your conversation with Senator Klobuchar on Sunday?
I've talked to everybody.
Can you break down specifically the conversation with her? Did you recommend that she consider running?
I spoke with
your first conversation with
I
her?
spoke with all of the delegation, let them know. I spoke with a lot of key allies. I spoke with my family, and just let them know that this is what we were going to do. And Senator Klobuchar was one of those conversations. I think that we have a very deep bench. It's very clear to me. Again, I would mention this, that again, none of the people running for governor of Minnesota voted for this program. None of these folks running for governor condemned January 6th, and none of the people, the Republicans running for governor, had the damn common decency to Melissa and Mark's children have asked them to stop doing what they're doing, the president. The question I would ask all of you is you need to ask those people running for governor if they would ask the president to please stop attacking the Hortman children and telling lies about this. And so
for those of you who don't know what he's talking about here, last year an assassin killed with a hit list of different Democratic targets in the state, killed the former Minnesota Speaker of the House, who is, I believe, still in elected office, and also killed her husband and her dog. And Donald Trump has been sharing videos alleging that Tim Walz essentially ordered a hit on Melissa Hortman, and people have been harassing their 2 children who survive them. It's really, truly disgusting. It's disgusting stuff. And am I allowed to admit I legitimately hate this decision by Tim Walz and think less of him for doing this? I think that's fair. I think it seems bizarre, to say the least. It is truly disgusting.
I am very confident a Democrat's going to win this. My conversation with Senator
Eric Lozama, presumably Tim Walz's decision to drop out of the gubernatorial race to focus on being governor for his last year.
Klobuchar was the same conversation I've had with many others.
Governor, there's been the constant drumbeat coming from Washington, from the White House to many of the different departments in Washington, talking about fraud and talking about you. What was the one thing that you heard that said, this is why I've got to step out? Was it that constant drumbeat coming at you, or was it more of a personal decision?
No, I think it's a personal decision. It's effectiveness. I never took this job to be governor. I took the job to pass things like paid family medical leave. I took this job to get our children food. I took this job, and what I'll continue to do for a year is I will protect every single person in this state. And I had an announcement to them on our LGBT community, especially our trans community: stay the hell out of Minnesota for the folks who want to hassle those people. These are our neighbors. So for me, it became, if I can be as effective doing that, and it's clear, look, I don't think any governor in history has had to fight a war against the federal government every single day, and now it's reaching down into our commissioners. And look, what Donald Trump tweeted the other night put the Hortman children's at risk. They have to look at security, put my family at risk again. What he's doing to the Somali community is absolutely unconscionable. And at some point in time, this is about, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, I bug the crap out of Donald Trump. I would argue it is because I believe in public service. I've not enriched myself in office. I treat people with dignity. I agree to compromise with people, and the attacks on Minnesota are far beyond me, and it's hurting Minnesota. Here's what I have full confidence in: is Republicans are going to lose races up and down the ticket, because where is their plan on health care as health care prices doubled? Where is their plan to push back on the president? Again, for God's sakes, the children of a murdered speaker, and they can't speak up and say, Mr. President, this is wrong, stop it. And you write a story that one retired legislator said it and one member. How can you not have every single one of them saying this is wrong? And I'm going to fight this without having to spend any time worrying about the politics of this. I'm going to fight it making sure that Minnesotans are cared for. I'm going to fight it by doing the respect that we should have for rule of law. So I just think all of you see this. It is just going to be relentless. Why 2,000 folks? What are they coming? Do they want to coordinate with us? You saw a U.S. attorney stand up, which was would have been let go by any other administration, speculating about things with no factual information. That's defamation. That's coming from the U.S. attorney. We are under assault like no other time in our state's history because of a petty, vile administration that doesn't care about the well-being of Minnesotans. My job is to protect the well-being of Minnesotans. So the good news on this is Republicans are sure they're going to lose the governor's race dramatically. That's fine by me. I don't care who sits in this seat as long as it's not one of them who hurt Minnesotans. I care that it's somebody who understands and respects this office.
You just talked about.
I do for one appreciate that if he felt constrained before by being in the race, I appreciate that he feels free to get angry about these people who exist to only peddle bigotry, hatred, and harm. I do like that at the very least he's getting some fire in him, apparently, as a result of dropping out of this race. But I do hope that at the very least his performance, because I have a sneaking suspicion that people are going to really like Democratic elected officials who just do not give a fuck about this Trump administration and who are willing to go to the mat and actually fight. It sucks that he felt the need to drop out of the race, and I also have a feeling that perhaps we don't know the full story on what was happening there. Maybe we'll find that out in years to come. But it is also possible, and this is my long shot theory, that he dropped out of the race in order to prep for a run for president. There is a possibility for that here, that he's dropped out of the race so that he can just go fucking ham on Republicans and put some vim and vigor behind his words And I'm hoping that perhaps this is his trial run, or at the very least, other Democrats will take note that people actually want elected officials to fight this fascist administration. I want people who are gonna fight it, not people who are gonna roll over for it. Exia Ross, haven't seen you in forever, was just passing by before going to sleep. People seem not to be talking about one of the massive reasons Walz is retiring. It's depressing. I'm sure you covered this, Jack, but people have been driving by his house nonstop yelling slurs, the R slur specifically. Yeah, we played a video of that specifically last night after covering his dropping out of the race. Republicans in the state of Minnesota have made it a ritual to go in front of his house and yell slurs as loud as they can, specifically targeting his son, Gus. I didn't know that Hope had posted a video. Maybe we'll take a look at that real quick.
And I are always going to be the bigger people. The president calling my dad what he did has unleashed a storm regarding like offensive language towards me and my family, and specifically my brother. You can call me whatever you want. You can call my dad, my mom. When it's Gus, to the no. To the no. He dealt with people calling him that last August, and now there's a resurgence. And no, how is it okay that the president of the United States can call somebody, anybody, doesn't matter who they are, that, and then all of his freaking cult members come and attack those people and that person's family? Say what you want about my dad. He's an elected official, right? Like that's going to happen. I think it's utterly disgraceful that the president would do that. But then the attacks that I have seen, I have people DMing me saying absolutely horrendous things. When I was home last week, somebody drove by and screamed that we were R words, just driving by in their car. I'm like, what world are we living in? And again, I draw the line at Gus because he dealt with that before, and not again. You people are disgraceful. Shame on you, all of you.
Yeah, I think this shit probably has taken a toll on his family and personal life, especially after the assassination of one of his close friends, the Hortman family.
The danger. Your daughter gave an interview talking a little bit about the danger. Was there any part of you, Governor, that thought when you were making this decision, did it cross your mind that not by any nature of what you've done, but just because of you being you and being the target, that people's lives were in danger?
Yes.
Whether they be, so you felt that danger for Sophie Call and other, that curious decision.
Yes, and for our Somali community, yes. Look, I'm on the list because whatever it is, they hate us. I may be on the list because of last fall. I may be on the list for whatever reason.
Good night, Ashley.
But yes, that's exactly what it is. And look, I don't know how you spin the story other than him pushing that conspiracy theory. You don't have to listen to me. The Hortman children told you that. We shouldn't have to be talking about them. Respect their privacy. We just attended a wedding, which was a joyous day, with 2 empty seats from someone who's murdered. But, there's rumors out there and all this. That is frickin' evil. And every one of you in this room knows it's evil. And that type of hate and those types of threats that are actionable, yes. And look, I'm concerned for my family, but I've got a little bit of protection now. My family, not so much. But what about Somali immigrants who are minding their own business? We've got 2,000 folks, we don't even know who they are. They'll be wearing masks, being here in Minnesota, harassing them. If you want us to fix fraud, come and help us. Come and help us do that. They're not interested in that.
Oh, true, Paladin. But also, the GOP aligned will, they'll believe whatever horse slop the GOP feeds them. They do not give a shit. Going through that Nick Shirley video the other day, had showed how low the bar is, if Donald Trump came out and just started mowing people down with an AK-47 and then blamed it on Democrats, they'd believe him.
Evil, I think, is the absence of empathy. Captain G.M. Gilbert, the Army psychologist assigned to watching the defendants at the Nuremberg trials.
A decent summary, perhaps. Pluvius, thank you for the $5 super chat, or dono, rather.
Governor, have you given any thought to what's next for you after you leave office?
No.
You're only going to be 62.
No, I know. I'm going to run some more.
Yeah, I guess my entire perspective on this, Paladin, is that I don't give a fuck what the GOP thinks anymore. Our goal is not to win them over. Our goal is to crush them and make sure they can never rise to political prominence again. That's my goal anyway, and I think it should be all of our goals.
Marathons. I'm gonna defend my turkey trot title. I don't know if I told you all that I won my age group in the turkey trot. Look, I got a year of work to do here. I think it will be the most challenging year, and that includes probably COVID, because I caution Minnesotans, this is going to worse before it gets better. Everybody here knows, you will be nonpartisan and you will be fair in this, but the vast majority of the country knows this, because Donald Trump's in trouble. The Epstein files need to come out. The economy's sinking. We're fighting a war in Venezuela. I will tell you one thing on this, that today, people in Minnesota, the work that we did and the bill that I signed makes their life a lot better. And I would ask those folks who think Donald Trump's doing the right thing, do you think not getting paid family leave and fighting a war in Venezuela has improved your life? Because if it is, I don't know what I can say to you to help you vote for something, but that's...
I mean, like, that's an excellent point. Like, if you think that abducting Nicolas Maduro and threatening global stability and, like, pointing guns at Greenland is more important than your ability to have time to take care of your family in a medical emergency or to have health insurance, then you're not a serious person, and no one can take you seriously, and we should disregard any and all of your opinions.
That's where it's going to go. For me, I'm going to do this work. To be candid with you, what I'm really good at is I'm a really good geography teacher. And I think that's something where I would find the joy in getting back in there, trying to teach, do the things that we want to do.
Last one here.
Has the Optum fraud report come back to your office yet? Or when?
Not analyzed yet. The one I got today, and I'll tell you just as a heads up on this, we got the Axtell report back on Capitol security, and that's my next step on this. And I do want to kind of preview a little bit here. If Republicans think that I'm not coming to make us more safe around guns, they are sadly mistaken. They are going to take votes on protecting our children, or they're not going to get anything else done.
Well, great news for you, Forlorn79. I didn't fucking ignore it. I spent 3 hours talking about it and debunking it last night.
That report comes back, that will give us, I think, some idea where we're going. I'm excited to see and hopeful what Tim O'Malley's going to see. I think you're seeing this. I feel pretty confident right now that the plan on how to get there is getting pretty well laid out. I think the gap analysis of where there were gaps is pretty well there. I think we're going to have to figure out how we implement some of the safeguards in place. Probably have to come back to the legislature. It'll be interesting to see, and I really do appreciate that question about the fraud committee. If I'm not mistaken, this planned meeting on fraud in this program before it implemented was the very first meeting ahead of trying to prevent. I need the legislator to help me on prevention. It's pretty easy after the fact to say this happened.
No, Eddie.
They're really good at that. They're not so good on the front end, so I think that would be good. But I just want to say again to all of you, incredibly grateful. I'm gonna make note of this. I had my team verify this. I've stood in front of the press more than any governor in Minnesota history and taken more questions from the press in Minnesota history. My team has provided more data under the Data Practices Act than any governor in history. And I'm going to preview for you now and I would ask all of you for the help on this. It seems absolutely outrageous and a gap to me. The only people who aren't subject in state government to data practices are the legislature. And we've had a pedophile in the state Senate that we got no information about. We have credible accusations of one Republican representative against another Republican representative that they committed fraud. We have a requirement that the House run an audit, which they did not do. You are the gatekeepers on this. Demand that there's data practices, and if they have emails showing that I have committed fraud, you should get those. Why aren't they putting them out there? Why aren't they turning them over to prosecutors? And right now, they are hiding behind a veil of innuendo. They're protecting the biggest fraudster in the White House. They are unwilling to acknowledge that January 6th was an insurrection. They are unwilling to stand with Melissa Hortman's children. And I want to tell you this, for those legislators who went and shed crocodile tears at her funeral, shame on you. Shame on you. Her children are asking you to do one thing in her name. It's to tell the president to stop doing this. That shouldn't be that difficult. So look, for Republicans here, I have more energy than I've ever had. I am committed to this state more than I've ever been. I love this state with every fiber of my being. I believe we are the best state. Have I been perfect in this? God dang no. I wasn't perfect as a teacher, I wasn't perfect as a coach, I wasn't perfect as a soldier, but I was pretty damn good at all those things. And I am committed to getting this right, and I will tell you what, if they think now, I mean, game's over for them now. It was all me, I was the bad guy or whatever. Well, put up or shut up now and tell us what you're going to do to make this state better. Answer these tough questions, quit hiding behind this, and expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden, to make sure that you're doing your job. I'm asking for your help. We need data practices with the legislature right now. You need to expect to get every one of my emails just like you have when you ask for them. Every one of my commissioners, you should be able to ask for those, which you can do, and we need to do that. Here's the thing that I'm going to ask all of you is, Republicans want to tear this state down. Republicans want to tell you it's too—
Yeah, Tim's gonna ride the Republicans harder than they've ever been ridden before. Yeah, I knew you guys were gonna smuggy about that.
Too dangerous to walk down the streets. Republicans want to tell you there's nothing good comes out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Republicans want to tell you everybody with brown skin is stealing money or that they're not welcome here. They want to do nothing to improve this state. Their idea of improving this state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen? I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign? When does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here in terms of us shying away from making the state better. So you'll get to see me more. The good news is on this is that I got no election to look forward to. I've been in front of you. I'll call on who I want to call on, and I'll watch what the press gets written, and we'll make sure that in this state there's full accountability for everybody, because buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this, and because of that accountability, I'm not running for office again. But I have a year to continue to improve on a record that I think will stand up against anybody's, a record that has made Minnesota better, a record that makes people want to come here, and a record that has respected not only the dignity of people, but the idea of rule of law and camaraderie. So the one thing that I hate is anytime I get drug into being next to Donald Trump, God help me, I don't want to be judged against that guy. Judge me against an average Minnesotan going out to do their job every day and being decent to their neighbors. So thank you all, and we'll be back.
Okay, real quick, I want to try something here. He spit some fire there for the last couple minutes.
Skin is stealing representative that they committed fraud. We have a now is, and I would ask all of you for the help on this. I think we're going to have to figure out how we implement some of the safeguards in place. Probably have to come back to the legislature. It'll be interesting to see, and I really do appreciate that question about the fraud committee. If I'm not mistaken, this planned meeting on fraud meeting, it's pretty easy after the fact. I'm going to make note of this. I had my team verify this. Legislature, and we've had a pedophile in government, outrageous and a gap to me.
Okay, here we go. I'm just trying something. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Here we go.
The only people who aren't subject in state government to data practices are the legislature. And we've had a pedophile in the state Senate that we got no information about. We have credible accusations of one Republican representative against another Republican representative that they committed fraud. We have a requirement that the House run an audit, which they did not do. You are the gatekeepers on this. Demand that there's data practices, and if they have emails showing that I have committed fraud, you should get those. Why aren't they putting them out there? Why aren't they turning them over to prosecutors? And right now, they are hiding behind a veil of innuendo. They're protecting the biggest fraudster in the White House. They are unwilling to acknowledge that January 6th was an insurrection. They are unwilling to stand with Melissa Hortman's children. And I want to tell you this, for those legislators who went and shed crocodile tears at her funeral, shame on you. Shame on you. Her children are asking you to do one thing in her name. It's to tell the president to stop doing this. That shouldn't be that difficult. So look, for Republicans here, I have more energy than I've ever had. I am committed to this state more than I've ever been. I love this state with every fiber of my being. I believe we are the best state. Have I been perfect in this? goddamn no. I wasn't perfect as a teacher. I wasn't perfect as a coach. I wasn't perfect as a soldier, but I was pretty damn good at all those things. And I am committed to getting this right. And I will tell you what, if they think now, I mean, game's over for them now. It was all me. I was the bad guy or whatever. Well, put up or shut up now and tell us what you're going to do to make this state better. Answer these tough questions. Quit hiding behind this and expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden, to make sure that you're doing your job. I'm asking for your help. We need data practices with the legislature right now. You need to expect to get every one of my emails just like you have when you ask for them. Every one of my commissioners, you should be able to ask for those, which you can do, and we need to do that. Here's the thing that I'm going to ask all of you is, Republicans want to tear this state down. Republicans want to tell you it's too dangerous to walk down the streets. Republicans want to tell you there's nothing good comes out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Republicans want to tell you everybody with brown skin is stealing money or that they're not welcome here. They want to do nothing to improve this state. Their idea of improving this state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen? I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign? When does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here in terms of us shying away from making the state better. So you'll get to see me more. The good news is on this is that I got no election to look forward to. I've been in front of you. I'll call on who I want to call on, and I'll watch what the press gets written, and we'll make sure that in this state there's full accountability for everybody. Because buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this. And because of that accountability, I'm not running for office again. But I have a year to continue to improve on a record that I think will stand up against anybody's, a record that has made Minnesota better, a record that makes people want to come here, and a record that has respected not only the dignity of people, but the idea of rule of law and camaraderie. So the one thing that I hate is anytime I get drug into being next to Donald Trump, God help me, I don't want to be judged against that guy. Judge me against an average Minnesotan going out to do their job every day and being decent to their neighbors. So thank you all, and we'll be back.
Okay, that I thought that was fun. For those of you who don't understand the reference, it's an old meme from an anime called My Hero Academia, and that's one of the songs from the show. And the meme is you say run goes with everything. It's also a reference to an older meme, Guile's theme from Street Fighter goes with anything. You Say Run is such a baller song. It really is, isn't it?
Minnesota Smash.
My Hero Academia is old. It's been like it's done now, and it had like an 8-year run. My God. Latzia, thank you for the $20 super chat. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much. And I do just want to say, I wish he hadn't dropped out. But if he dropped out so that he can run in 2028, or I might, I don't know, I could get behind this guy. I feel like he's a very straight talker. I feel like he's very honest and forthright in a political field that is decidedly not that. And I feel like he is one of the candidates that I could get behind if he so chose. And granted, him dropping out of this, it sucks. And for a time, it is going to empower some of the worst people in American politics. But that being said, I do look forward to the next year of Tim Walz shitting on Republicans and making sure that every single person knows that the Republicans in this state are covering for fraud, that Republicans in this state are trying to starve kids, that Republicans in this state are trying to strip people of their health care and are fear-mongering against people with dark skin. I look forward to having a year of a governor who is decidedly and wholeheartedly dedicated to fighting these fascist fucks. And granted, it's not gonna be an easy road, but I think that we have to fight. I look forward to seeing him ride those Republicans harder than they've ever been ridden before. Is there anyone in Minnesota DSA that has the juice to fill his seat? I gotta be honest, not that I know of. Minnesota DSA is still in like a building phase for building up candidates. Like the likely candidate that is going to be the Democratic nominee for the statewide governor's race seems to be Amy Klobuchar, and I hate that. I hate that so much. But, my hope is that Amy Klobuchar is someone that the DSA can play a little bit of hardball with and beat. Or at the very least, sway her positions. We'll see how that goes. What's Flanagan doing? Peggy Flanagan's running for Senate. She's running for Tina Smith's seat. So unfortunately, while I would have loved Peggy Flanagan as governor, I think she would have done a great job. But she's running for Senate. And I think she'll do a really great job as a senator, too. So I'm not angry about that. Maybe Keith Ellison would enter the race. Like, Keith Ellison is not outside the realm of possibility. And, Keith Ellison also has some national prominence. I think it'd be a very close run between Keith Ellison and Klobuchar, though. I think if Ellison ran, we could get some we could get some DSA power behind him. Should DSA try to run? Should DSA try to run a candidate as like a third party? No. DSA in Minnesota doesn't quite have that juice yet. More bridges need to be built with unions in particular, I think, to build up that capacity. Are you saying should DSA try to run a candidate in the DFL? I mean, it's not a worthless attempt, like maybe, but I don't know who that candidate would be. Also, isn't the Minnesota Dem Party a coalition party, the farmer labor stuff? It's not a coalition party. It's like a holdover that has a different type of organizational structure compared to other Democratic parties in other states. Like, it was its own party that got brought into kind of the Democratic fold like 100 years ago. So like its structure is different and kind of the ethics of the party are a little bit different compared to other branches of the Democratic Party. But yes, Dean Phillips changing his mind. I don't know about Aaron Murphy or Dean Phillips. My impression is that a lot of people, right up until Tim Walz dropped out, were not considering running. So I'm guessing that this week is going to be a lot of soul searching from people who may want to throw their hats in the ring. All right, folks. All that being said, I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like when a politician actually has some semblance of a spine to fight against what is happening in their state. And, what is the Native American woman like? She is the lieutenant governor. Yeah, Peggy Flanagan is the lieutenant governor. She's running for Tina Smith's Senate seat. And she's really great. I like Peggy Flanagan. Real quick, I guess before we end this segment.
I need this hot political analysis. How much does Walz's leaving the race increase Mike Lindell's chances at winning? Smiley face.
I don't think it increases his chances of winning. I think there are some more prominent and more well-liked Republicans in the state than Mike Lindell. I think people are going to be a bit off-put by the fact that he's crazy as a loon, of course. Here, let's check out before we wrap up the segment. Let's check out Peggy Flanagan's announcement video for Senate.
Loud, clear voice. That's what my Ojibwe name means, and it's core to who I am. So I'm going to be loud and clear about what's at stake right now. Trump and his allies are ransacking our government to give more handouts to corporations and billionaires, taking money out of our pockets to line their own. They're starting mindless trade wars that make our prices skyrocket and devastate our farmers and small businesses. They're wrecking our savings, destroying Social Security, and gutting our healthcare. And I believe people are waking up. A lot of Americans are feeling like the bottom could fall out at any moment. I know what that's like. I was born and raised here in Minnesota by a hardworking single mom. Public schools, public housing, Medicaid, and our deep faith helped us to get by. Now I'm raising my own daughter, and I know that it's still too hard for too many Minnesotans to get ahead. It's why I've spent my entire career fighting for kids and families, from the Children's Defense Fund to Wellstone Action to serving in public office. And I'm running a different kind of campaign, because the time for excuses is past. We need leaders who actually know how regular people live and have the political courage to actually help them. Congress lowering the price of 10 prescription drugs is great, but why not make Big Pharma lower the price for all of them? From affordable health care to reproductive freedom, we'll never get what we don't fight for. And I know about winning tough fights. That's how we raised the minimum wage in Minnesota and passed paid family leave for all Minnesotans. And it's how we won 2 hard-fought statewide campaigns. And in this fight, it's all of us versus the extremist billionaires. And I'm betting on us. Because when the people speak out with a loud, clear voice together, there's nothing and no one that can stop us.
You know, she's got that stomp clap, the stomp clap song down, you know? She got to be careful before the stomp clap lobby comes after her, though. I do have to say, like, she's not taking money from corporate donors. She's running a clean campaign. I like Peggy Flanagan a lot. And here's one of her recent videos.
Way back at the beginning of this second Trump administration, the very first vote that was taken under this Trump administration was for the Lake and Riley Act, which strips immigrants of due process. There were a handful of Democrats who voted in favor of that bill. My opponent, Angie Craig, was one of them. She also voted for a resolution this summer that praised ICE. Shame. And so we get to tell the truth in this race. We get to tell the truth. And the truth is that Minnesotans deserve better. Our immigrant neighbors deserve better. So we're going to keep showing up for each other. We're not going to throw people under the bus if it's politically expedient, because that is how authoritarianism reigns. Yeah.
I like her a lot. I think she's a great candidate. I think she is positioned well to win this race easily, but, you know, we'll have to see. I will say it's disappointing that Walz has not endorsed her yet. I mean, it is possible that they have internal polling that, like, Walz is harmful for other candidates' chances down ballot. It's that is possible, and it's possible that he's holding off on endorsing her until this Republican, like, hate boner for Minnesota in particular dies down a little bit, so that it doesn't transfer over to her. But we'll see. Can we really trust our vote with a Lumineers fan? Okay, I've listened to the song Cleopatra a few times, and it's okay. I like stomping and clapping on occasion. Don't call me out like that. But he has the power of God and very lumpy pillows on his side. It's true. Mike Pillow does have the lumpiest pillows at his disposal. You know, he doesn't have to threaten his political opponents with getting beaten with a sack of batteries. He can just beat them with pillows. What? Cleopatra's a good song. Yeah, Astral Sea Star knows. The millennial in you is showing. Look, I was a Bible camp counselor for like 2 years, okay? In the middle of Northwoods, rural America. And I might have at one point memorized all the lyrics for multiple Mumford and Sons songs, okay? Look, I'm not perfect. I am a flawed human being. I've never claimed to be perfect. Don't attack me like this. I'm dropping out of the race. Anyway, folks, if you got anything out of this, other than some ammunition with which to make fun of me, consider hitting the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe, follow, do the things. I would also encourage you all to join your local Dems and join your local DSA. If you're fed up with corporate Dems who take money from giant corporations and the ultra-wealthy elites of society, join your local Dems. crush that impulse out of your local party. Build a grassroots movement up that can actually fight back and push for working class policies. And folks, also join your DSA, because building up a base of support and building up connections with various unions in your community and a power base with which to push for working class reforms in the Democratic Party, that is very, very helpful. And folks, if you need some help doing either of those things, please join our Discord and reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems, and reach out to GamerG for help joining your local DSA. We have people ready to help you. You are not alone in this. We are all in this together, and we all have to pitch in however we can to make it happen. Who? Dragonfly is here to help you to join your local Dems, and GamerG is they're there to help you join local DSA. There you go. Did I mess it up? Sometimes I flip you guys or unintentionally meld your names into one helpful political homunculus. I appreciate you guys so much. And folks, last but certainly not least, please check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Imogene Olivia lingerie is gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. And we've also tested it on cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. People really love the fit. It is a fit you will not get from anything else. Please check it out. We have new colors. We have new styles coming in the near future. And check it out. It's great. Get certain sizes before they sell out. And link down in the description. So there you go. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.